Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MCP Project. Today, we have a very special guest. We have my grandma, who is 91 years old. So we wanted to get her on as quick as possible because we know her time is really running out. And so here we are.
This is true.
But grandma has lived through a lot, obviously. She's 91. And we just want to get right into it. She's so special, and we're just so happy to have her. So how are you, Grandma?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you, honey. How are you today?
I'm good.
And I'm so happy to be here, even though I had to miss my senior pole dancing class to come, but I'm happy to be here.
Well, I didn't know you were going to share all of that today.
Oh, well, I have to, It's imperative that they all know what I'm like.
I'm really glad. Well, Grandma, I just love that you are here and that you haven't, hurt yourself in pole. So I'm going to get going. I have a couple questions I wanted to ask you just to hit this. First, Josh wanted me to ask you a very important question.
Okay.
He wants to know what it was like, or how it was living in the dinosaur age.
Well, it's not quite like that, but yes. When I was alive, and it was
Grandma, it was a joke.
In 1934, and it's when I was born. It's 1934, but in the 40s, it was so much different than it is today. No technology, which we have today, which in a way is good. Maybe not in some ways it isn't good. But anyway, we could go outside and play. We used to play kick the can. We used to not have to worry about, being someone hurting us or anything like that, which nowadays I don't think you can go outside and do anything like that at all.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I think you missed the joke, though. He was just kidding about living back with the dinosaurs.
Well, no, I got you. I knew what he meant.
I just didn't know because he got real serious. I was like, oh, that's funny. Well, yeah, no, that's so true. It's crazy probably for you, especially seeing what life is like now.
Yes.
Versus back then.
Exactly.
How awesome is it, though, that you've been able to see so much change, so much innovation? Like, you really lived through a lot.
I have, and I think it is awesome, and I'm so happy to be here. But there has been so much change. And as I said, in a way, it's wonderful. But in our time, I don't know, things were just so much simpler and easier to cope with certain things, I think, than it is today. So, which I coped with quite a bit in my lifetime.
Yeah, you have. You really have. And I really can't wait to get into more of that. I think with how you cope with stuff now versus then, would you say that, like, back then, you really didn't, because you couldn't get on your phone. You didn't have like a therapist right at your, hand. Like, how would you describe coping back then? Like, what was it, just like sink or swim type of deal? Like, you just had to get through it? Was it you
did just have to get through it, and mainly on your own, and now, like you said, they have people you can talk to. That's why I think it's so important nowadays, and even then, to have good friends that you can confide in. I mean, you have your family, and of course you love your family, and you tell them many things, but with a friend, you can share, so much more if you have problems and can't afford a psychiatrist, which I can't, unfortunately. But I do have my two best friends, Fran and Linda, and they're great, and I love them.
How long have you guys known each other, Fran and Linda?
Well, we met in theater during the 70s, and we both were all three of us were in theater together, and we kind of came together. So we've been friends for over 40 years, which is a long time.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And no arguments, Fran and Linda, is that right? No, we've had them, but we always seem to get back together even.
Well, that's true friendship.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I agree. I think you guys being friends through all these years, and for you all to be alive still, I mean, that is amazing.
I know, well, I am, barely, but I am. I'm here.
I love it. Well, you guys will have to excuse us if I look a little tired. We had a little wanderer last night. So
do you have to? Okay.
This one, she was up all night just wandering around and found herself in multiple bathrooms, and it was quite the show.
I accidentally went into their room, and I didn't know I was in their room. I thought I was in another room, but I wasn't. So there, it was
I
rather embarrassing.
Well, I thankfully escorted her to
Yeah.
the correct room. But anyway, you're just so cute, Grandma. Back to good friends. What would you say throughout living this long with them by your side? How has that helped you, and what has that done for you having good
It
friends?
has helped considerably, as I said. If you have no one to share things with, there's so much trauma and tragedy in a life, and also happy times, thank God. But with the trauma and tragedy, you need someone to talk to and someone that you can confide in. And if you don't have good friends, who else do you confide in? I mean, really, it's wonderful. As I said, your family, but sometimes you have things you don't want to share with your family, and you do share with your good friends. And I'm lucky to have them. Very.
I agree. I agree with that 100% because family already most of the time has an opinion
You agree
about
with-
something.
Yeah,
So to have
exactly.
an unbiased opinion and
Mhm.
receive good information is super important.
Great.
I wanted to know, or I do know, but would love to talk about your favorite era in life.
I think my favorite era were the 40s and the 50s. I'm a movie buff, and of course, I mean, I love the movies of the 40s and 50s, and the actresses. They were so glamorous and beautiful, and I used to admire them and think, I'm going to be like that someday. I never made it, but I wanted to. But anyway,
You
I
did a
tried.
lot. You actually did a lot.
I was an
Don't sell
actress.
yourself short.
Okay.
She's being modest.
Yeah.
But why don't you share with us what you have done through, the 40s that kind
Okay.
of being implanted in you of what you wanted to do?
Okay. Well, in the 40s, I was, of course, a young girl, and I was very, very shy. I mean, I couldn't talk to anyone or anything. It was terrible. So my mother decided, well, Karen, we're going to put you in tap dancing class, and maybe that'll make you, less shy. So I said, okay, Mom. So she took me to a school. It was called Jimmy Gallagher School of Dance. And there I began to tap dance. I wasn't very good at it. And so one day, I started to sing. And my teacher told my mother, oh my God, she's got a great voice. We'll let her sing in the shows. We were in victory shows, they were called at that time, because it was during the war. So we performed
Oh,
for all the veterans and the military, and
wow.
it was wonderful. We went to all the theaters in Denver and performed.
For all
So
of
we
them?
became professional at 8 years old, all of us, which
Wow.
was really
Really?
fantastic. Yeah, we
That's
got paid for
really
our
cool.
performances.
You did.
We
And you
did.
guys so you
Yeah.
traveled all around Denver
Yes,
and
all around Denver.
performed for the veterans.
Uh-huh.
I bet
And
that
I
was
sang more than tap dance because my teacher liked my singing better. So,
well, and I can understand why.
yeah. Well, you've heard
Just
me
kidding.
sing.
Yeah, your singing is great and your
Thank you.
dancing. I'm just kidding. No, but that's really interesting. So you performed for all the veterans and
Yes, we did. And it was wonderful because it lifted their morale quite a
yeah.
bit.
What
Maybe
was
not
the
my part, but the rest of the cast, they liked it. So I don't know.
No, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
How did that make you feel being able to perform at such a young age and
Oh,
really see the impact you had in bringing joy to these people who have
it,
lost so much?
I'm sorry. It made me feel great because I knew that I was doing something, to help the war effort. And I really, really appreciated being able to do that. And they seemed to really enjoy it.
Oh, I'm
They
sure.
liked it a lot. So,
Continuing on that, so you lived through World War II,
yes.
and that's so amazing to me. What was that like? Can you share
Oh,
what that
well,
was
it was
like?
quite sad,
Or no, I mean,
actually.
it's just amazing that you're here to still tell it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
happy.
you're right, Marissa. It is. It was really sad because there were things like rationing. You could not get gum. You couldn't get nylons. There were a lot of things you could not acquire at that time.
So,
So
meaning you
sad.
couldn't you just couldn't go out and buy them. Like you had
No,
to.
you had to, they had like tickets for some things, and you had to use those to get certain things, certain items. So
Oh,
that
really?
you were used to getting without the war.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So it was
Well,
sad, kind of.
yeah, that is. How is that? How did that affect the family? What did that did? Yeah.
Well, it was difficult for every family. And during the Depression, it was really bad. There were no jobs, and my father couldn't go to work, so my mother went to work cleaning places, and that was hard for her. But
Oh,
she was
sure.
actually the breadwinner there, and my father took care of me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your dad stayed to take
But
care
he
of
stayed
you.
with me, and that was really hard for him because I wasn't the best child in the world. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So did grandpa or great grandpa, did he fight in the war? I'm
No,
not even.
he was not. No, I don't know if he was 4F or not. I think he had flat feet or something, so they didn't take him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's why? That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy for flat
Yeah,
feet?
for flat feet.
I guess I inherited that from him,
Oh,
unfortunately.
let's not talk about your feet.
No, let's not. She's seen my feet.
Okay, we're moving on.
Thank God they don't show on this show. Go ahead.
That's so crazy. Oh my gosh. So in that time, Grandma, what was life like? I want to hear a little bit more detail, if you don't mind, about that time frame when all that was
Well,
going on.
it was difficult in a way, but yet it was kind of nice because, as I said, everything was so simple and everything was not like it is now. I mean, things now are just crazy. I'm happy they have technology, but we did not have it then. And I think it was a little easier in some ways, but more difficult then. I mean, now it's wonderful. I mean, like Josh said, you can just tap into all the technology and it's really good. So,
Well, I agree, but I also think that I think we all would appreciate a little bit more simple times
I
too,
think so
because
too.
everything is moving so fast
Oh,
and you really have to keep up. There's something being created and done that's 10 steps
mhm.
ahead of you when you feel like you're already 10 steps ahead of where you were.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that time of, when I was young too. I loved playing kick the can and I loved, you know, having the neighborhood kids to go out and, play hide and seek and do all those fun things that, we just swing at the creek, like get the
Yeah.
tire swing. And I mean, there's something to be said about that type of piece that you just
Yeah.
don't see
Yeah, I agree because you don't
unless you're
see
way
it
out in the
now, but,
country. Yeah.
um,
But yeah, so it was simpler, it was nice, it was sad because there was so much loss at that
yeah,
time.
really. And so many loved ones were lost, during that time, and that was a sad thing.
And
Of course, that happens today now too, so,
it does.
yeah.
Did you and in that time, Grandma, what prompted you to do more acting? Like what gave you more purpose at that time? Like from what you were seeing and how life was, how did that affect you into continuing to do what you then went on
Well,
to
I
do?
think that I was motivated because life was so difficult. So you needed outlets, certain outlets. And that's when I found the dancing, the singing, and all that. And I remember, as I said, I was quite shy. Well, I went to a Catholic school, Holy Family High School, and the nuns, they were pretty strict, but one nun came up to me one day and said, "Honey, why don't you sing or dance for the class today?" And as I said before, I was so shy. And I said, "All right." So there was an actress called Carmen Miranda,
Mhm.
and she did this thing where she would sing, I like you very much. She was Latin. And so I did that. I did it in class. And all the boys seemed to love it. Boy, I got out of my shyness then, right then.
Oh,
And I was happy.
okay, yes. So you're about to experience how boy crazy this one was. You
Now, Marissa, I wasn't boy crazy. Yes, I was.
so that just got you, that kick started you into doing more and more
Yes,
shows.
yeah. Well, that's why I became an actress later on. And one thing, when I was 17, my girlfriends and I went to Illich's, Illich's,
Yeah.
and they had the Trocadero Ballroom. In fact, I think they still have brought it back again. Well, anyway, my girlfriend said, I dare you, Karen, to go up and ask Lawrence Welk if you can sing with him. I said, well, I don't know. And I was young. I had the tattered, torn jeans on. And I said, okay, because I was kind of a daredevil. So I said, all right, I'll go ask him. He'll say no, but I'll ask him. So I went up during intermission and said, Mr. Welk, would it be okay if I came up to sing just one song with you? And at first he was a little reticent, but then he said, okay, honey, come on. So I got up on the stage, and I'll never forget it. And I sang Blue Moon, which was quite a popular song in those days. And after I got through singing, he asked me to come back the following night. And so I did. And then he said, you know what? When you graduate high school, you're going to be one of my champagne ladies. That was the thing in that day. And
what was a champagne lady?
A champagne lady was the main singer in the band. And so I was so excited about that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I never told you that.
I did not know that that's where the champagne lady
That's what a champagne lady. Yeah, it's not the drinking champagne. They just called it champagne because he had a bubble machine, and he blew bubbles from it. And I think that's where they got that.
That's cool.
Yeah, but that was exciting, and I had decided, well, I'm going to do that. That was going to be my profession. So when I was after high school, I thought, well, I'm going to go with Lawrence Welk, so I really don't have to worry too much about my future. Well, in the interim, I was offered a scholarship to Regis College, which was just an all-boys college at the time. But my girlfriend and I were the first two women to ever obtain scholarships to that school.
Wow.
And it was wonderful, really wonderful, because it was an all-boys college, and we were the only two girls there. It was great. I loved it.
Oh my gosh. That's really cool. That's really neat.
It was cool.
So you didn't, so you performed with Lawrence Welk. Can you share with people who Lawrence Welk was back in the time?
I know you guys it's certainly not your era. Lawrence Welk was one of the most famous band leaders of all time. Wow. Yeah, but he was a very strict taskmaster. If you went with him, there was no fooling around or anything.
He took it very serious.
Very, yeah.
Who would you compare Lawrence Welk to in today's time?
Well, certainly not Elvis Presley, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
No. Which I loved Elvis Presley too. But I don't think there's anyone you could compare him with now.
Who would you say be considered in this day and age? Like, would he be considered, like, back then he was very famous, and who would it be someone like an Elvis or someone like
nothing like Elvis.
Because I was trying to say, I think we would all know about Elvis.
Yeah. Oh, well, I did see Elvis in person.
How was that?
Fantastic. Oh my God.
My gosh.
And he was so handsome. Wow.
Oh my gosh, you did? Where did you see him at?
Oh, we saw him in Las Vegas, my husband and I. Yeah, and we had front row seats, so it was wonderful.
You did?
Although he didn't throw me one of his handkerchiefs, I was sad.
Oh my gosh, you are so funny. So you got to see those dance moves up close?
Yeah, oh wow. Woo. Yes. It was great.
Poor Grandpa. Just sitting next to you.
Yeah, well, everybody has said that. Poor Grandpa. All the time.
Yeah. Well, Grandpa, he was fine. But so, who else? Oh, Frank Sinatra. You got to sit with him?
Oh, yeah. I have a story about Frank Sinatra. I'm not trying to be conceited, but I was very pretty in those days. Mm-hmm. And Frank Sinatra loved women. So I knew that. So my husband and I were at the buffet table. And Frank, at that time, these celebrities would walk around and you could see them. It was great. They don't do that now.
Right.
They had bodyguards, of course, but he was walking around. I saw him and I was at the buffet table and I threw my food at Grandpa and said, "Here, take this. That's Frank Sinatra. I've got to go get us tickets if I can."
I've got to go get us tickets.
Yeah, because we couldn't get in. It was completely sold out.
Oh, my gosh.
So I walked up to Mr. Sinatra. I was this close to him. Oh, those blue eyes. Wow, he was gorgeous. Anyway, and I said, Frank. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Sinatra." I mean, he said, "You can call me Frank." I said, "Okay, Frank. I really came here primarily to see you, and we cannot get tickets because you're completely sold out." And he said, "Don't worry, honey, I will get you in." And we had front row seats the next night. It was fabulous.
Oh, my
and he was
gosh.
fabulous.
I bet
Wonderful.
that was
I
so
always
cool.
wanted to sing with him. I used to dream about it, but I never made it.
Oh, I
There.
thought that you did sing with him and Lawrence Welk. So
No, not Frank
So for
Sinatra.
anyone that I told, my grandma sang with Frank Sinatra. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I thought you did.
I didn't sing with him, but I was this close to him, and
Oh, that's so cool.
it was cool. Yeah.
So let's talk about the, certain times that you've lived through, like when TV became colored TV, like kind of going back to the technology, but how was that being an actress and like now you get to see things in color versus when it was in black and white?
It was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. I mean, that they even had TV. I thought, this is fantastic.
That is so cool.
And and it was so different because we had radio. We used to listen to the radio all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, and no, not TV, but so TV was great for all of us. We loved it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, your great grandma, she was the first one in our family to have a TV. And we used to go over to her house to watch all the television shows.
Really?
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
It really was.
So were like the movie theaters and everything like packed out back then or did you even have was it just plays or how did it work?
I think we had movie theaters. It's kind of hard to remember. It's kind of hard to remember yesterday, but anyway, it was wonderful. The theaters, they did have them then, yeah.
So you were saying that the 40s and 50s was your favorite time.
Yeah, that was my favorite era, the 40s and 50s. As I said, mainly because I was so obsessed with the glamour of the movie stars, and that's one of the reasons it was my favorite.
Did you ever meet an actor or an actress maybe that you really looked up to? Did you ever meet any of them?
I'm trying to think. There was one, you wouldn't know her, of course. Her name was Carol Landis, and she appeared in a lot of movies with Betty Grable, who was a star. I met her, and she was quite nice. She wasn't egotistical or anything, and I enjoyed that. And she was very nice, and I was young at the time, and she patted me on the head. It was exciting.
That's cute.
Yeah.
With everything, so Grandpa was a veteran.
Grandpa was a veteran.
So can you share what that was like when he went off to war and all of how your life was after he came back and how you guys...
Okay, well, we didn't meet until after the war.
Okay.
Yeah, we met at Berkeley Park, and I was with my best girlfriend, and she was really cute. So I said, "Oh my God, look at that guy over there. Is he handsome?" She said, "Yes, he is handsome." I said, but I did not approach him or anything because at the time I had acquired this disease called Bell's palsy. You may know what it is. It's a paralysis of your facial nerve. And I was paralyzed at that time. That's why I went to the park with my girlfriends, because they would take me on little outings and things. Anyway, so I thought he was really cute, but I knew he wouldn't look at me. So she started dating him, of course. And then later on, after she quit dating him, I said, "Oh, don't date him. He's not a very nice guy." And then I became engaged to him.
You were so...
She said, "Oh my God, how's that going to happen?"
That's so funny.
And we were married for, almost 56 years. And then, of course, Grandpa passed away. And So
Well,
That was
that's interesting.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious, how do you think the war back then too, did that affect a lot in your marriage, like in your life? Like, was that, I'm just really
It
curious
it did
about that
it did
time.
in a way, but not so much. But I do remember when we were first married,
Mhm.
and that was after he'd been in the war, of course.
Mhm.
And we were one night we were sleeping, and he started screaming and flailing his arms and hitting me, and like he was shooting at people. He was reliving his war experiences, and that was kind of sad. Other than that,
He was
it,
pretty with it.
yeah, he was.
That's good.
Yeah, he was very with it, as you know.
Well,
Very
yeah,
funny.
he was hilarious. He
Yeah.
was. You've lived a very long life, and I think that you've seen so much. And I just think it would be really good for you to share some of those experiences and what it's done for you, and maybe help give people a better perspective of
Yeah.
life. Because I think a lot of people think we're gonna live forever. We do things. We're busy. We're
Mhm.
out there trying to make things happen for ourselves, which is great. But life happens really fast.
Yes, it does. That's
And
true.
if there was anything you could share with people on how to put life in perspective, because you've lived a long life, fortunately.
And yeah, and I think that a lot of it is attributed to the one thing that I would say everyone should try to acquire, and that is a sense of humor. I was listening to Chris Parente's interview with
Mhm.
you, and he said that levity was so important, and he is so right. If you don't have a sense of humor, it's hard to cope with things every day. But if you can laugh at yourself and laugh, with others, not at others, but with others, it helps
Why
so
can't we
much.
laugh at others?
Well, we can,
I'm
and I do
just
it all the
kidding.
time, but I didn't think you wanted me to say that on the air, so.
I'm
But yes.
joking. Well, and I think too, that point, I really appreciated when Chris said, there's something, you don't have to be funny. Not
No.
everybody's funny, but if you're having fun,
Mhm.
that's really what can help any situation too.
Yes, that really impressed me when he said that, because I totally agree with Chris. Everything he said, well, maybe not everything. He's a little crazy, but
He's
I
funny.
like that about him, though.
Well, you are a breast cancer survivor, so you've had it twice.
Yes.
And when I'm asking about advice you could give, I think this is what I'm trying to get at, is with being diagnosed, having a double mastectomy, having to go through real hard times. You had breast cancer.
Mhm.
You took care of it, and then it came back, 17 years later?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then you're faced with real life situations like that, or like life and death. And
Yes.
what would you say you took from that? Because you're still here to tell your story.
Yeah, luckily, and all due, of course, to the good Lord above, that I'm still here. But I would say that having cancer twice, you appreciate life so much more. Everything is, doubled. I mean, you look at the sky, and it sounds kind of crazy, and you think, well, oh, this is such a beautiful day, and thank God he let me still be here to see it. And you just appreciate life so much more. And even now I do, because a couple of months ago I had heart surgery, and I'm still here now, a little weak and everything, but it's for some reason God still wants me around. So maybe there's something that I could do in this world for other people, and I would really like to do that.
You have that. You are right now. You're helping people right now. So I like what you just said about you're still here because your job isn't done. But I really believe that that is truth. And also your mindset. You want to be here. I think
I
that when
do.
you get older, and you've, just like you said, a couple months went through heart surgery and you went through some serious stuff. I said, Grandma, some people at this time are ready to go because they want to be
Yeah.
with their loved ones, and it's a hard fight on a body when you're getting older. It's a hard
Yeah,
fight anyway.
It really is. It's
And
true.
you said to me, well, I don't want to go see Johnny yet. And I think
I know.
truthfully, like you have the will to be here. You have the mindset to be here. You have a mindset that I think people need to know a bit more about. And that's what I'm trying to get at the root of with you, is with that, strength in your mind. Is that what you would say that has you still here too? Like, how do you view life? How do you keep your youth? What do you do for that?
Well, I don't know how I keep my youth if people tell me I'm youthful, so hopefully I am. But as I said, I attribute everything to him up above. I mean, without him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing the things I'm still doing. It's all God. I truly believe that. So,
Yeah.
And then the thing is, the thing I miss the most, though, and you don't like me to talk about it, is I miss my pole dancing classes.
Oh my God.
Maybe they'll take me
we can
tomorrow.
talk about it if you want to. It's fine. You're a published poet.
Oh,
Why
yes,
don't you
I
talk
forgot
about that?
Forgot about all the wonderful things I've done. No, yes, I am a published poet.
That's great.
And I
Why
have
don't you
written
tell
over
us about that?
300 poems. And that is a good hobby of mine. It's my favorite hobby is writing poetry. And dancing used to be, but I don't think I can dance very well anymore.
Oh,
So
God. She's never going to let the pole thing go.
I
But
didn't say poles,
Oh.
just plain dancing. Pole and plain,
you're really good at, you are
Whichever.
really good at poetry. Do you have one a short one that you could, that's
No,
memorized?
I would have to read it because they're, fairly lengthy.
And and you've
But I
worked
do like the one, it's called Vestiges, and it's talking about beauty and how beauty fades in the end, but it doesn't fade. It fades here, but it never fades here. So that's one of my favorite poems that I've written, Vestiges.
and
If anyone wants a copy, you can ask Marissa to put it online or whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
I absolutely. And that I like that. I like that you talk about how beauty stays from within. And why is that
It
poem?
does.
Why is that one your favorite?
That's why, because beauty fades, here, but it never fades in your heart or in your soul. And if you're beautiful there, and I think it shows, it's really funny, but it shows in the eyes. You can look at a lot of people and think they're beautiful, but if they look kind of cruel in their eyes, you can tell, well, doesn't matter how pretty you are, you need to show that in here. And I totally, thoroughly, and you know that. I've told your mother, if you're not pretty inside, you're not pretty. So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's really true. Well, are you dating anyone, Grandma, or do you have anyone?
You want me to mention there's about 5 guys. They're all 102, so I'm, and they're all rich, so, yeah.
Everybody's living a lot longer these days.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because I do like younger men, so if you're listening, any of you in your 70s, I'm not adverse.
What about 40?
Oh, even that.
Oh my God.
I'm a cougar, so 40s is fine.
You're so funny. Well, Grandma, I'm really glad that you came on today, and thank you so much. I think, having you here is very special. It's awesome people get to hear a little bit more about life over decades, and just being able to share your story was really cool, and I really appreciate you. So,
Okay, well, thank you, Marissa, for having me. I appreciate it. My beautiful granddaughter, everybody. I love her.
I love you too. Thank you so much. Well, y'all heard it. She doesn't know how to find herself on Instagram, but you can find her. It's Karen Rico.
I don't even know what Instagram is, but you do, so that's good.
Good. Well, thank you, Grandma. Thank you so much for
You're
being
welcome,
here.
honey. I love you.
I love you too.